Hello everyone! Welcome to week 2 and welcome to my home. Alright, this is my house. I'm recording this here and at any minute my son's gonna come busting through the door, so you might hear a moment of commotion, in which then I'll probably pause once he busts through that door, okay? But until then, we'll just keep moving forward with this week's lecture. All right, so here we go. Let's get week 2 going. Yes, from current slide. Okay, week 2. So this week I'm going to. Oh, you can't even see my face. There it is. Hi. This week I'm going over illustrative essays, okay? Because the first essay that you will write for this course will be an illustrative essay. I'm going to go over paragraph writing, which I refer to as the perfect paragraph. I'm going to go over proper MLA formatting, so you understand how to format your papers. And I'm going to go over this week's homework, so you understand what's expected of you, okay? Great. So the illustrative essay. I'm going over this because this is the first essay that you're going to write. The first type of essay will be the illustrative essay. Okay? So what is an illustrative essay? An illustrative essay is an essay that uses illustrations, examples, to prove your point. And I don't mean pictures. I mean, an illustration is something that you can visualize. An illustration takes a complex or abstract idea and it puts it into something physical that you can see. Okay. Now that might just have to be. It's not a picture. It's a picture with words. The writer explains a scenario, and that scenario will illustrate the idea that the writer is talking about. So this is especially when we're trying to clarify concepts, beliefs, opinions, okay, things that might exist in the unproven realm. These are often used to maybe teach a lesson. So generally we use examples and stories to support the thesis that's being discussed, okay? And we provide a lot of examples. These are more personal, which means that they're informal. They're not as stuffy or as formal as your usual academic papers. So like first person is okay to be used in illustrative essays. You take from what you learn from the illustrative essay, and you can use that in your final argumentative essay and write a paragraph that models the illustrative structure. Okay, so while this is teaching you about illustrative essays for your first essay, you can also use this information to help you write your final essay as well. Alright, so let's see. What kinds of examples should be used? So the examples need to be very specific. We should have very specific examples, okay? The purpose for examples is that they convince others that your opinions are valid, all right? The more specific the examples, the more interesting the writing will be. And these examples should keep your reader engaged. So for one, we can do anecdotes. That's sort of the most popular type of example that we find in illustrative essays, which are just short little stories. An anecdote is a short little story that's used to prove a point or to provide an example. Hence, illustrative example essay. Hypothetical examples are acceptable, but they should be limited. You shouldn't have a whole bunch of hypothetical examples in because it makes it less believable. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. All right, so what does a longer example look like? Well, here we go. So let's say you are writing a paragraph about this saying, in unity there is strength, okay? And let's say your whole paper is about how in unity there is strength. And you can have a couple different paragraphs proving this point, okay? And so for one paragraph that you write, you might want to talk about, use the example of your family, okay? So you can begin with saying something like, Aesop wrote, in unity there is strength. Indeed, in families this holds true. For example, there's the key signifying word. For example, in my own family, there was once a swimming accident. If we had not acted in unity, my son could have drowned. On a hot day in August, my mother, daughter, son, and I all decided to go to the river to cool off. We lazed about on the rocks and enjoyed the refreshing water as it splashed on by. Suddenly, my son, Matt, slipped off the rock and became caught in the unseen current. My mother, daughter, and I made a human chain and reached out to Matt. With all our strength, we pulled him into safety. Without this united effort, Matt would have been in even more danger. Okay, there is a paragraph written about using a personal anecdote that illustrated, okay, that it currently illustrates the saying, in unity there is strength, because they were united and they were strong and they saved poor little Matt. Oh gosh. Types of illustrative topics, okay, just to give you an idea, because you were going to be writing, you're going to pick your own topic to write about, okay, to illustrate something, okay? So one topic could be something like, people are not racist. Ideas are racist, okay? So if you believe that, if you're like, okay, if we get rid of racist ideas, then we'll get rid of racism, then you can write a paper illustrating different racist ideas that are out there and talk about, how that can improve society if we just get rid of that perspective. Stephen King doesn't just write scary stories, but he also has important themes. So maybe you're a big Stephen King fan, okay? And you want to write about how Stephen King is not just a horror writer, all right? He's got a message out there. He's got some good ideas about the world and life that, people should pay more attention to. So you write an essay in which you talk about 3 different books that he has that convey 3 different important themes. Maybe positive discipline yields greater results than corporal punishment. Maybe you're a big believer that, spanking your children is not good. And so you write about that, and you could use yourself as an example. You can say, I wasn't spanked, and I'm pretty good. I have children. I didn't spank them, and they're pretty good, okay? Or you could write, examples of other people, or bad examples. You can say, look, this kid over here was spanked. This kid I grew up with, man, his name was Max, and he was crazy. He was spanked, and he ended up in jail. So your examples can also be the opposite. They can be bad examples, like the opposite, to show that the inverse of what you're saying. Okay, so let's say you have figured out your topic, you know what you want to write about, and now you're formatting and getting ready to outline your body paragraphs, okay? This is how your body paragraphs should flow. And this is what I call the perfect paragraph. This type of paragraph uses what's called the Tolman method of organization. Okay? You won't be quizzed over that. I'm just letting you know it's called the Tolman. So the paragraph. If you master the paragraph, you master the essay. Because an essay is just a bunch of paragraphs put together. So if you can write a paragraph really well, then you can write multiple paragraphs really well, which means you can write a really well-written essay. There are three parts to a paragraph. There's the claim, the support, and the analysis. So the first part of a paragraph is the claim. This is 20% of your paragraph. The claim is the main idea that's being made in the paragraph. Okay? There should only be one claim made in a paragraph. If you have 8 claims that you want to make, those are 8 different paragraphs. A claim is just the main idea. It's one idea that everything boils down to, okay? That you want people to know. And so everything in that paragraph ought to be used to support that claim. To keep going back to that claim. It's the main idea. There's only one per paragraph. So if you have 3 paragraphs, really those are 3 claims. And it should only be 20% of your paragraph. So if you have a 10-line paragraph, you should only be using about 2 lines to state your claim. Right after the claim comes the support. I'm going to come over here. Here I am. All right, this is contextual support. These are quotes. These are references. All right. This shows what part of the text you are discussing, and it serves as evidence. 30% of your paragraph should be support. So that's 3 times as much as the claim. Okay. So the claim is oh no, it's not 3 times as much. Can't do math here. The claim is not 10%. The claim is 20%, and then the paragraph is 30%. But those do add up to 50%, which means that the third part of the paragraph is 50% overall. Okay? So the first thing you write in your paragraph is your claim, your main idea. Okay? And then the second thing you write that you include will be support, which is evidence from the text. Then after you have written about the evidence in your own words or using some quotes, then you move into what's called the analysis. And this is the last 50% of the paragraph. 50% of your paragraph is explanation. This is your explanation of your claim. This is where your paragraph wins or loses. Tell your reader how they need to understand the information. Everything discussed here needs to go back to the claim and evidence. Analysis is all of your interpretation. Okay? You can still be talking about the story if you're writing about a story, but the analysis is when you are saying things about the story that were not explicitly discussed in the text because you have interpreted it. You have read it and you understand what's being implied. Okay? Analysis also is explaining your idea, explaining how your example proves your claim. So like, for example, okay, let's say you're writing about what is the theme of the movie or the fairy tale Mulan. Okay? And so this would be a good paragraph written about analyzing Mulan. Okay? And it follows the 3 parts of the paragraph. So here it is. In the film Mulan, the theme of the story is that women should be seen as equal and respected on the battlefield as much as men. In the movie, when Mulan's kingdom is threatened by the invasion of the Huns, the men are called to war. Mulan wants to serve too, but she is denied because of her gender. Therefore, she disguises herself as a male in order to fulfill her destiny to be a great warrior. Mulan was confident that she was strong and brave enough to be a warrior, but the male-dominated and sexist society that she lived in prohibited her from fighting. But by surviving and thriving in the war, she proves that women can be as equal or more so than men in war. Although the film doesn't explicitly show people being killed, because there were battles fought, it can be understood that people did in fact die in these battles. Yet Mulan survived. And if it is understood that she is the only woman fighting in this war, then that means she, a woman, was more dominant in battle than many other male soldiers. With her rising political power as being a princess, combined with the self-assurance in believing that women can handle battle, she will be a mighty influence in her kingdom at leveling the field of respect paid toward women in battle and society. Wowee, okay? So now let's break up this paragraph into the 3 parts: claim, support, and analysis. The first thing that should be in your paragraph is a claim, where it states the main idea, okay? And here's the claim. In the film Mulan, the theme is that women should be seen as equal and respected on the battlefield as much as men. That's our claim. That's our one point that we're trying to make throughout the whole text. The whole paragraph after that is just supporting that claim. Everything that's in the paragraph should be going back to the idea that women should be seen as equal and should be respected. What is the support of the Mulan paragraph? All right, so we had claim, now support. The support is anything that comes directly from the film. Anything that is not interpreted, it's not analyzed, there's no way of denying the fact that this did not come from the film. Okay, it's concrete. So like this part of the paragraph. In the movie, when Mulan's kingdom is threatened by the invasion of the Huns, the men are called to war. That actually happens in the film. Mulan wants to serve too, but she's denied because of her gender. That is in the film. That's not, you don't have to interpret that. That's literally there. Therefore, she disguises herself as a male in order to fulfill her destiny to be a great warrior. That's in the film. There's no interpretation there. That's exactly what happens, okay? So support is always what's actually in the text. Or what, in your case, what you're going to be writing about is your example. Whatever is a clear example, whatever your anecdote is, whatever it is your real life example is, whatever it is, that's your support, okay? And then the rest of it is analysis. This is explanation. The rest that follows is you explaining how your support proves your point, what it means. You're telling the audience how to interpret this information. So your paragraph looks something like this. These are the 3 parts to one paragraph. Claim, support. Now last week you were assigned to read a chapter from the book, White Fragility. And specifically that chapter was assigned because it is literally a series of small little illustrative essays, okay? All of these different little parts. So, this chapter 4, how does race shape the lives of white people? Okay, so all these little parts like belonging and freedom of movement, all right, just people, white solidarity, all of these are little illustrative sections, all right, illustrative essays, all collected together, okay, because they're all supporting the same claim, but she's using different examples to bring to light this issue and to literally to illustrate it, so people can see it. Okay, they can see how race shapes the lives of people. Okay, and so which is something similar to what you'll be doing. You'll be making a statement in your essay, and then you are going to be creating either hypothetical or literal examples to illustrate in the minds of your reader what you're talking about, so they can conceptualize it. So let's look at. I took a chunk from the section titled "Just People." Okay, and we're going to look at just people, and we're going to see how she organizes her claim, how she provides some support, and then she provides analysis, explanation of why this matters. So here's her claim. Another way that my life has been shaped by being white is that my race is held up as the norm for humanity. Okay? So that's her main claim, that her sense of being white is equal to what is considered to be just the basic normal mode for humanity. So she continues to write. She says, "Whites are just people. Our race is rarely, if ever, named. Think about how often white people mention the race of a person if they are not white. My black friend, the Asian woman. I enjoy young adult literature, but am taken aback by how consistently the race of characters of color is named and how only those characters' races are named. So those are some of her examples to kind of illustrate what she's talking about, that whites are just people and that oftentimes white people as a race is not mentioned when they're being referred to. But then she continues. She goes further. She says, to use an example from school, consider the writers we're all expected to read. So this support that she's about to go into, this is not a personal example, okay? This is an example taken from something that she thinks everyone can kind of relate to, public education, all right? The list usually includes Ernest Hemingway, John Steinbeck, Charles Dickens, Fyodor Dostoevsky, Mark Twain, Jane Austen, and William Shakespeare. These writers are seen as representing the universal human experience, and we read them precisely because they are presumed to be able to speak to us all. Now consider the writers we turn to during events promoting diversity, events such as Multicultural Authors Week and Black History Month. These writers usually include Maya Angelou, Toni Morrison, James Baldwin, Amy Tan, and Sandra Cisneros. We go to these writers for the Black or Asian perspective. Toni Morrison is always seen as a Black writer, not just a writer. But when we're not looking for the Black or Asian perspective, we return to white writers. The idea of whites as just human, and people of color as particular kinds, racialized kinds of humans. This also allows white male writers to be seen as not having an agenda or any particular perspective, while racialized and gender writers do. So she provides not just support for her claim that society continues this sort of idea that being white is just normal, and then she uses examples from public education that many people have gone through and the books that they've read and definitely been given the Black History Month presentations, and the specific writers that are often always labeled by their color and sort of differentiated between a specific perspective versus a general perspective. Now, another example from her writing is when she talks about, when she tells in situations about her profession. And so she talks a lot about, what she does for a living, as she comes into organizations and to lead diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings. And so throughout this chapter, she also talks about things that she's been that she's witnessed, people that she's spoken to, that further illustrate her point that she's trying to make, especially about the sensitivity of talking about this issue. So reread through this chapter now that we've talked more about illustrative essays, so that way you can get you have a clearer understanding of the type of writing that you're going to be conducting. If you notice, she writes in first person. She writes because this is more informal. This is more conversational, which is how illustrative essays are. These are not formal academic papers like the research paper, which you will write later. These are more informal, okay? All right, so we need to go over MLA formatting. With your essay, you will have to submit your paper written in MLA formatting. Now, I'll make it easy for you. If you just download the MLA template that I've uploaded into, it'll be under essay 1, okay? Then all you have to do is click in it and insert your information. All right. You'll download this document, and you will double click into the last name, and you'll put your last name. Okay. I'm gonna put my last, as if my last name is Auden. And then you are going to put your name again here. So let's say I'm Thomas Auden. There we go. You put the instructor's name, which is my name, Mr. Byers. And then you put the course that you're in, which is English 1101. You put the due date. Okay, don't put the date that you start writing it. Put the due date of when this is due, when you have to submit this. So let's go here. Let's see, when's finalize and submit your illustrative example essay by September 12th. So like 1 month from now. That's great. 1 month. So it'll be September 12th, 2021. Okay. Very next line, title. I don't know. Life is, in fact, like a box of chocolates. There's my title. Now, oops, I misspelled that. Dork. Okay. Now, if you notice here, I have not changed the font. I did not change the font size. I did not change the spacing. If you download the template and you just enter in your information and you don't change anything else, then you'll be fine. You'll get full credit for your MLA formatting. Okay, you go to the next line, go up to home, you push a line left, okay, and then you start typing. You just hit tab and you type it, okay? Now I'm gonna go over this again during the week in which we edit our rough drafts, and I'm gonna do a live editing of rough drafts, and I'm gonna show you a button that I want you to push, which is the justify button, okay? The justify button though, it will create a better effect once there's actually an essay written in the paper, okay? So I'm gonna wait until the rough draft week, because I'm gonna have a rough draft of someone's, and I'm gonna edit it live for you, well, record it live, and you can see what you need to do for yours, okay? The main goal right now is to just be able to download the MLA formatting page and be able to enter in the basic information in the correct formatting. So do that, and then this is what you're going to write your rough draft on this document that you have created, all right? And you will submit it a couple weeks before it's due. We'll edit it, we'll rework it, we'll adjust the formatting, and then you'll be able to submit it. Absolute requirement for all your papers. One part of your, like 10% of your essay grade is just MLA formatting. And so if you just download the template and write it, your essay in that document, that's it. You get at least 10 points. I mean, that's just 10 points right there in the bucket. Fantastic. So then finally this week, all right, you will be completing. You are going to read the Introduction to Illustrative Example Essays in Lesson 2 folder. You're going to read the plagiarism folder that's found in Lesson 1. And you are going to complete the plagiarism quiz that's also found in the Lesson 1 folder. Okay? Okay, so if you go to our course page, go to Lessons. Just as the sheet tells us, Introductions of Illustrative Example Essays, Lesson 2. Let's go to Lesson 2. Okay, you can read this stuff. Read this chapter right here. Okay. You can, there's the MLA formatting template for when you start writing your rough draft. And then it says here, read plagiarism lesson 1 and complete the plagiarism quiz. So then you go back, after you're done reading all that, go back to lessons. Lesson 1, plagiarism, right there. And this folder contains all the digital resources for the topic of plagiarism. Remember to review all the materials before completing the plagiarism quiz included in this folder. So complete that folder. Boom! There you go. All right. That's the week for you, okay? So I hope you enjoy it. Do well. Make sure you read everything and you do it thoroughly, okay? And email me if you have any questions. Okay. All right. Bye-bye now.